And just like that, guys, UFC 318 is here. We're doing predictions, same day predictions, which is honestly just because I'm kind of lazy on my part. Didn't get around to it, but I have to do predictions for this card. And I want to talk about some of the fights before they actually happen. So same day stuff, I can actually understand how horrible my picks were as I'm watching the fights in a couple hours, like 5-6 hours from now, whatever. Or I can, give myself a little pat in the back and revel in my own genius. Probably the first one, but we'll see. So, Holloway versus Porrier 3, in my opinion, it's an exciting fight. It's not necessarily a fight I want to see because I've seen them fight a lot, but it is a fight you want. You want to see a new matchup for these guys or something different, but there's no better options. And also, it's going to be a really, really good fight no matter what. So you do want to see it. It would be it would be interesting to see Dustin, for his last fight somebody other than Max, but it's also interesting to see him fight Max again for his last fight. So I'm kind of torn between whether, I really like it or I don't really like it. It's one of those things where it's it's going to be a good fight. You can't complain about it. There's nothing to complain about, but you also kind of want to see them both fight somebody different at the same time. But I don't know. I'm excited for the fight, nonetheless. It's two of my favorite fighters. Obviously, Max Holloway, huge fan favorite. Same with Dustin Porrier. But yeah, it's gonna be a good fight to watch. It's gonna be a good main event to watch because it's just gonna be, I don't know. It's just two. It's not even superstars. They're superstars in the sport, but it's two of the most loved fighters in the sport going at it again. 6 years later, I believe, since the last fight, which is crazy. Anyways, let's get to it. We got Carly Judice versus Nicola Callery. I actually really don't know either of these fighters, and I haven't really watched either of these fighters. One's 4-2, so I think I watched Nicola Callery fight once. I'm gonna go with her. I don't know. The other one looks like the girl that's named Greta, the Greta girl, the environmentalist. Have you guys ever seen her? She just looks like an angry version of her. But either way, I'm not going to put too much stock into this fight because I actually haven't watched either of them fight, and I don't know I don't even know what they do. I really don't even know what they do. Maybe I'm a casual, but we all are probably not going to pay too much attention to that fight, so it doesn't matter. Bruno Ferrer versus Jackson McPhee. This is actually a good fight. This is an entertaining fight for sure. Bruno Ferrer is kind of this. He's pretty technical. He's not awful by any means, but he's definitely a guy that he wants to put a hurting on you, wants to knock you out. And Jason McPhee, he looks pretty good in the striking exchanges in the first rounds of fights and stuff like that. And he is half decent for sure. I do think Bruno Ferrer is gonna get him out of there. I do think Bruno Ferrer is gonna win this fight. I think he's just a bit too much of a brute, a technical brute. For Jason McPhee, that I think he'll find a couple shots that'll hurt him and he'll either TKO him or KO him in the second round. That's going to be my guess for this one. We got Ryan Superman Spann versus Lucas Bresky. Honestly, dude, I'm really not a Ryan Spann fan. That rhymes. Ryan Spann's probably, I wouldn't say my least favorite fighters on the roster, but he's definitely down there. He's riding the top 10, top 11, maybe top 12 of the least favorite fighters in the UFC. I don't know why, but just sometimes watching this guy, I'm I don't even understand what you're doing. How can you look this bad? And then sometimes I watch him and I'm how are you losing to other people that you've lost to? He's just a weird kind of fighter. Whether he shows up or whether he doesn't show up, and whether he has technique or whether he doesn't have technique, kind of depends on the night. He is on a win streak, I believe, and I do think he could get some sort of choke on Lucas Bresky. As Lucas Bresky's trying to grapple, if he's hurt or something like that, Ryan Spann could lock up something like that. I believe he got a ninja choke maybe in his last fight. I might have to check that, but I feel he could do grab something like that on Lucas Bresky. I do think, for the most part, Ryan Spann, if anybody's going to fluke a fight that they should win and end up losing it, it's probably him. But I do think he should win this fight against Lucas Bresky. And I guess the other interesting thing about kind of making the predictions this late on is we all watched weigh-ins. Well, not we all. I'm acting like you guys. I didn't even watch all the weigh-ins. Sometimes I watch them, but I didn't watch all the weigh-ins for this one. But I did see some stuff online about Ryan Span's weigh-in versus Lucas Bresky's, and Lucas Bresky did look a lot worse than Ryan Span in this weigh-in. And I do think Ryan Span is just a little bit better. So I'm going to go with Ryan Span in this one. I think he'll probably... Do I think he'll get a finish? That's a tough one. I don't think he's going to... I think he'll get a finish, yeah. I think he will. Jimmy the Brute Crew. This dude is back, man. Let's go. Versus Marcin Prachnio. Good fight. This is a really good fight. There's actually like a pretty solid prelim card minus the first fight, but it's a pretty solid prelim card of fights that should be at least entertaining. Like these aren't like, yo, we gotta know what happens with Jimmy Crute's next fight against Marcin Prachnio, but we know it's gonna be an entertaining fight and it's gonna be a good fight. I do think Jimmy Crute can. Who was I thinking about? It was Adam. No, it was Nate Landwehr, where he's kind of like, kind of just more technical version of like Darren Elkins. I kind of, whenever I think of Jimmy Crute, I think of like him alongside like Nate Landwehr and those kind of guys, just because maybe it's his name, maybe it's the haircut and the tattoos, maybe it's the way he fights, I don't know. But I kind of see him as this like gritty, technical, gritty, grimy, like kind of fighter. And he's got like half decent technique, but he relies more on, his kind of grit and determination mixed with like some, okay technique to get these fights won. He just has some good grappling. He's one of these guys like, and all these kind of like guys like Nate Landwehr and him, they're not like good anywhere. They're actually pretty mid everywhere, but they just like have OP grit and just determination and ability to take punches. Even though Nate Landwehr got KO'd, but I do think like it kind of makes up for it. But I do think all these guys are pretty good everywhere. So like, they're not great anywhere, minus the grit. They're great there, but they're good everywhere. And I do see him wearing on Marcin Prachnio, and I could see him getting like a sub or a TKO in this fight. It's a tough one to pick Jimmy Crute in because Marcin Prachnio is pretty good. He's pretty good for sure. But I'm gonna go with Jimmy Crute. I want to see Jimmy Crute win in this fight. And I think he can do it. I do. I don't think it's a like really like way off like pick. Next we got Adam Fugit. Adam fucking dude. This guy, man. I would say stuff about last names, but mine's worse, so you can't at all. Versus Islam Dulatov. Adam Fugit's pretty good. Islam Dulatov is also quite good. I think Islam Dulatov is probably I think he's probably better. However, the thing is we haven't really seen him like have a lot of fights in the UFC at this level. But I do think he's probably going to get it done against Adam Fugit. I think he's just a little bit better, and I think he hits a little bit harder, and he's just a little bit better in the striking. So we will see. This is one where I can see Adam Fugit getting a win, but I can also very easily see Islam Dulatov, just piecing him up and getting him out of there as well. So I'm gonna go with Islam Dulatov in this fight. Robert Valentin versus Atib Gutier. This is a fight that I don't want to see because after watching Tough, I'm sure all you guys have watched Tough are Robert Valentin fans. He had entertaining fights on Tough. All of his fights on Tough were really entertaining, and it was kind of like this character that we all loved on Tough, and then he gets cooked, doesn't make Tough, gets another UFC fight, gets cooked by Ryan Bloater. And then he fights literally like a mini fridge, Torrence Finney. And although he did actually do like a pretty decent job of, I want to say decent job, but I can't. He didn't get finished. Torrence Finney didn't try to do anything. He was trying to land damage the whole time. It was a pretty shit fight. But he's down 2. He's lost 3 fights in a row now. So I hope he wins this fight, but Atib Gautier is really good. Atib Gautier is one of these guys who's literally a physical specimen. Like when I watched his last fight, I was like, oh fuck, this guy can do anything he wants. This guy could be like a professional athlete in any sport he wants. Like he's that much of a physical specimen. And the one thing I noticed about Atiba Gauthier, like I know his, like in the past, like in earlier fights, he got taken down by some people. One, I don't think Robert Valentine's going to be able to take him down because Atiba Gauthier is going to be too strong for Valentine, in my opinion. I think he's going to be way too strong. And he's actually pretty technical with his striking. Like his striking Atiba Gauthier isn't bad. Like it's not like he's just this like really physically fit guy like we have some of the guys like Phil Haw. I think of Phil Hawes, maybe I'm not. Why can't I think of the guy that fought a couple weeks back? Anyways, one of the big, strong, jacked black dudes that fights at like light heavyweight that like actually has no technique. But Atiba Gauthier actually has good technique. Like even though he's jacked and he's in shape like the other guys, he doesn't like have awful technique and he doesn't rely on just that. He has good technique. And the problem is his power with his technique, like he's gonna land at least once and it's gonna hurt you. Like that's kind of just the difference. And if you're a really, really good like grappler, you could kind of offset that by mixing in some grappling or just taking him down and trying to control him. Again, it's going to be super hard because he's a really, really strong dude. And also you see him progress fight to fight. Like his grappling does get better each fight, and he is getting better each fight. I think it's a really hard fight for Valentine. I do think Atiba Gauthier is going to hit him with something. I do think Robert Valentine, like, for the most part, could outstrike Atiba Gauthier. But I just think that the difference is, even if Robert Valentine is a slightly better striker than him and does hit him with some shots, like some elbows, maybe like cuts him a bit, or just like, you know, hits him with some good kicks and stuff, I don't think he's going to finish him. And I do think that Gauthier, if he does land at least a couple clean shots, like it's gonna be over for Valentine. Valentine's crafty. He likes violence. He's gonna get violence in this fight. This is gonna be a good fight. I don't see Atiba Gauthier just coming out there and shooting on Robert Valentine. Oh, so I think if he does try to shoot on Robert Valentine, I can see Robert Valentine getting a submission win. I think Robert Valentine has an advantage in the grappling for sure when it comes to like submissions, technique, stuff like that. I just don't see how he's going to get it there, and if he ends up on bottom, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. So I'm going to go with Gauthier, but I want Valentine to win. I don't know if most of us do, because Gauthier is kind of an interesting prospect, but a lot of people want Valentine to win. I just don't want to see Valentine like go 3-0 in the UFC and never get another fight in the UFC. Like that's going to suck. We got Blockhead Prado versus Nikolai Veternikov. Vertenikov, there we go. Sometimes the early mornings, man, these names just don't click. Francisco Prado is actually pretty good. I like Francisco Prado. He is very undersized for a lot of these fights at welterweight, and this is the same thing. 6'1" versus 5'10". Not crazy undersized, but still like 3 inches undersized. His reach wise, he's another 5 inches undersized as well. And he's fighting another good guy. Like Vertenikov is not bad at all. Francisco Prado is pretty good himself. He's a little blockheady, but he does have good technique, and he does close the distance pretty well to land shots. The only problem is, like, for somebody that's built like that, you need to kind of have knockout power if you're going to fight these guys way bigger, and try to fight up, like, he's basically fighting up a weight class, but trying to fight these guys that are way bigger and having to close the distance on them. The problem is, like, you have to have power like somebody like Ilya. Otherwise, you just get pieced up at range. Like, let's imagine, like, Max versus Ilya, but Ilya doesn't have, like, one-shot KO power. It would just be, like, Max would take a couple of shots when Ilya closes the distance and keep picking him apart at range literally the whole fight and win a decision. And that's something that I can see happening to Francisco Prado. However, I just don't think Nikolai Vertenikov is that good at picking people apart at range. I think that Francisco Prado can make it a really grimy, not grimy, like kind of a technical, like brute fight, like where he's just forcing his way into the void, as some people call it, and landing some good shots. I think Francisco Prado is going to win. I don't think he's going to get Vertenikov out of there. I think Vertenikov will have a hard time getting Prado out of there because he's so tough. But I do see Prado closing the distance and just landing, making it a dirty fight, but landing a dirty technical fight, but landing a more and better shot. So I'm gonna say Prado by decision. I could be very wrong on that one. That one's a questionable one, but I'm gonna go with Prado. We got Vettori versus Allen, dude. This is the battle of the chest and arm tats. These dudes are pretty much just they're a weird couple. Allen and Vettori. They're just a weird couple, like the two of them together. I know they got in their scuffle at the casino. Does anybody really care? No, not really. Is it weird that they're not on the main event of this or main card of this event? Yes, they both should be on the main card of this event. Does not tell me what Allen's ranked. I feel like Allen's ranked in the top 10. Anyways, like, yeah, I don't know. I can't really pick Vettori after. I remember watching Vettori like on his Adesanya kind of escapade where he's fought out Adesanya a couple times, and I was like he's actually pretty good. Like he's not bad anywhere, but he's not good anywhere, but he's not bad anywhere. He's actually pretty good. He's like above average everywhere, and he's just a good gritty fighter. But I don't know anymore, dude. I don't know. Watching his last couple fights, it's been kind of hard to like see Vettori like getting it done against a lot of people, man. I think the one thing that Vettori is good at, actually, I don't even want to say that because the last couple fights he let himself lose a decision. So I was gonna say that he's pretty good at winning decisions, but he's also very good at just letting the fight slip away from him and losing on the cards. I think Vettori, the problem with Vettori is he's not good, like he's not excellent anywhere. He's above average everywhere, but he's not excellent anywhere. And he doesn't even have excellent output. Like if you're going to be above average and you're not going to specialize in something, you need to have really good output. And you need to be, because if you're not specializing in anything, the odds are that you finish people are definitely lower. And at that point, you have to make sure that you have high enough output to win on scorecards. He doesn't have low output, but again, it's not high. The thing with Brendan Allen is his striking is pretty good, and I do think, I mean, Vettori lost to Dolidze. Like, let's be real. I think Allen's striking is better than Vettori's or same as Vettori's. Like, Vettori's striking isn't amazing. I think they kind of cancel each other out in the feet. I don't see Vettori, like, when has Vettori knocked anybody out? I don't see Vettori knocking Allen out or TKOing him. And then the difference is in the grappling. Like, Vettori's a pretty good grappler. Allen is a better grappler. Allen has better submissions. I mean, again, when have we seen Vettori submit somebody? Allen, I think if it goes to the ground, if there's more grappling exchanges, Allen is going to look a lot slicker. And I think he's going to be able to get it done. So I'm going to go with Allen. I think if it does go to like the full decision, I think he's going to win based on points. And I think if there's a finish, I think the only person that's going to finish the other one is going to be Allen. So I'm going to go with Brendan Allen to win this fight. I just think he's a better fighter as well. Like, it's 10 versus 11, but Brendan Allen's had some good fights against some good competition. Kyler Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira, the Matrix, bro. Kyler Phillips looks like he has scoliosis in this picture. And the haircut makes him look like Lord Farquaad, but I actually really like him as a fighter. And Vinicius Oliveira literally looks like a Brazilian Terminator in this picture. This is a good fight. This is a really entertaining fight. Kyler Phillips is he's really good all around, but he's a really, really good striker. He definitely has, who is it against? It was against Pedro Munoz. If you guys watched this fight where he fought against, I believe it was against Pedro Munoz, where he put on an absolute clinic and just styled him up and pieced him up for 15 minutes with crazy output, great variety, great like technique, creativity with strikes. Like, he looked amazing in that fight. And then his next fight against Rob Font, I think it was Rob Font, he did not look good against, and he lost. So, when he's on, Kyler Phillips, when he's on, he's one of these guys that's like prime, what do you want to call it? Prime Cody Garbrandt. Like, when he fought, when he fought for the belt. And he's just like he's in the Matrix, bro. Kyler Phillips is in the Matrix. I think it's going to be a hard fight to do that against Vinicius Oliveira. Vinicius Oliveira, he's an athletic specimen for this weight class. He's taller than Phillips. He's going to be bigger than Phillips, like muscle-wise. He's a strong dude. He's got pretty good striking. I don't think it's technique for technique, I don't think he's as good as Kyler Phillips, but he is a marauder. Like, he's a marauder, and he's got some power, and he's a guy that's just like, he's looking to hurt you and looking to cause damage. So I really do see Vinicius Oliveira just kind of coming in here and just putting it on Kyler Phillips. Like, I don't want to say manhandling him, but like, he's gonna be a lot more vicious. He's gonna be a lot stronger, and I think when he does connect with Kyler Phillips, he's gonna be able to hurt him. I don't think Kyler Phillips is gonna be able to really hurt Vinicius Oliveira in the striking outside of like landing like a head kick or something like that. I don't think with the hands he'll drop Vinicius Oliveira. It's a good fight. I do think Vinicius is gonna get done. I think he's just kind of a stronger, bigger, more intimidating guy who's going to go out there and really like push violence, not even like push a pace. He's going to push a pace. Both of them will probably push a pace, but the difference is Vinicius Oliveira is going to be looking to cause damage, like, whereas Kyle Phillips is going to be looking to touch him. And I think Vinicius Oliveira is going to, he might get outpointed. I think he'd get outpointed, but I do think he's going to have the more damaging, bigger moments in this fight. We got old head Michael Johnson versus Daniel Zellhuber. Michael Johnson's like 95 now. I remember when this guy pretty much beat like Khabib and pretty much everybody at lightweight, dude, and everybody down a weight class, and he's a marauder, man. He beat everybody. He's a good fighter. Michael Johnson's a good fighter. He's just he's one of these fighters that has fights he shows up to, fights he doesn't show up to. And he's also pretty old now, so that's definitely a problem for Michael Johnson. Like, he's a minus 300 favorite. He's not way too old where like you're like, oh, can't win, and he is on a win streak, I believe. I just think that like what Michael Johnson has to offer technique wise, even in his prime, is on par with Zellhuber. I think Zellhuber might even be better, and I think at this point in their careers, Zellhuber is going to have a physical advantage, a fitness advantage, and I think he's probably a better striker and grappler. So I'm going to go with Daniel Zellhuber. He had a really good last fight. I think he is a really good fighter, and I do think he's going to give Michael Johnson problems. I think it's going to be a hard fight for Michael Johnson to win, but it'll be an interesting fight for sure. We got Ehhh versus, why did I click on that? Ehhh versus Pitbull. This is the main card. I don't know, like, should Vettori and Allen be on the main card? Over Holland and Rodriguez, Costa and Kopylov. You could be over Costa and Kopylov because they're like same middleweight, higher ranking, but like also it's probably going to be a way more boring fight than Costa and Kopylov. So Dan Ehhh versus Pitbull, this is a really good fight. It's a really good fight for Ehhh. I don't really like to, after watching Pitbull's, I watched Pitbull highlights and I'm like, oh man, like, he's not bad, but he kind of waits, and then watching this fight against Yair, I'm like, holy fuck, this dude literally just sits around. Ehhh is gonna, in my opinion, I think he's gonna win this fight. I think it's a better fight for Pitbull to have a good opportunity to win in, but I still think that Ehhh is gonna get it done. I think Dan Ehhh is just a better version of Pitbull. Like, not by much, but like just a better, more active version of Pitbull where he's throwing more, he's mixing it up more throughout the fight. He's got good. Dan Ehhh is really good. Like, Dan Ehhh is not a bad featherweight at all. Like, I think he's somebody that over the years, like, we're gonna have to come to appreciate, and we'll see him fight up. I just think we'll see him fight his way up the rankings. Like, I think he's a good fighter. I really do. I don't think he's like awful. Some people are saying he's like a gatekeeper of this weight class. I don't think so. I think he does really, really well against a lot of the guys in the top 10 in featherweight. I think he's just exactly like Pitbull with more output and maybe even a bit more technical, I think, in the striking. Grappling, we'll see, but Dan Ehh's grappling is good. Like, it's never been something that's got him in a lot of trouble. So I'm going to go with Dan Ehhh to get this done over Pitbull. I think hopefully Pitbull learns from his last fight where he was waiting too much, but we see this all the time with people that, you know, they wait around for a big shot. They never really learn. Like, even in Calvin Kattar's last fight, he lost the fight before because he waited around and didn't throw enough against Yusuf Zalal, and then he came out here in the next fight and did the exact same thing. So I don't know. I don't think Patricio Pitbull is going to change up how much he throws a lot or a crazy amount, and I don't think he's going to KO Danny Gay. So I think we go with Danny Gay winning by either decision or TKO. Kevin Holland versus Rodriguez. Daniel Rodriguez. Kevin Holland's going to fucking smoke Daniel Rodriguez, honestly. Like, Daniel Rodriguez has got half decent boxing, but he's really not that good, guys. Like, I don't know how this guy is like on main cards and people are talking about him as being like a really good fighter. He's like he's like a welterweight Darren Elkins, bro. Like, he's got better technique than that, but he really doesn't throw anything other than he doesn't use anything other than his boxing. Maybe it throws like 2 or 3 kicks. He isn't great at closing range. He doesn't have grappling to mix it up. I think it's kind of, in this fight, it's kind of Kevin Holland by whatever he wants. Like, Kevin Holland's gonna just crack him at range. I don't think Daniel Rodriguez is going to hit Kevin Holland clean with anything that's going to hurt him or knock him down or finish a fight. Like, maybe he'll hit him with a clean shot and, like, rock Kevin Holland, and then he tries to pressure him and Kevin Holland does some spazzy shit and KOs him or just submits him. But I think Kevin Holland can submit Daniel Rodriguez pretty easily. I think, I don't think he'll shoot takedowns, but I think if they're in, like, up against a fence or something and they end up on the ground, or, you know, Kevin Holland hurts Daniel Rodriguez, he could jump on a submission, but I think Kevin Holland's gonna get this one done pretty easy. Let's see what the odds are on this. Not out yet, but I'm sure the odds are pretty heavily in favor for Kevin Holland. People like refuse to admit how good Kevin Holland is because he has a couple losses to people like Rainier DeRitter and other people like that, and like some fights he doesn't show up, but the dude is really, really good. Like, you shouldn't bet against him in the majority of your fights. And then he'll just, you know, he'll tank a win that he should win, but he's good enough that he should be winning the majority of the fights he's in for sure. Paulo Costa versus Kopylov. This is an interesting fight. I don't know. People are really dogging on Paulo Costa, saying he's not that good anymore. He never was good. I think he's pretty good. I think he's got pretty good technique. His last fight didn't do him any favors, but I think his Rockhold fight didn't do him any favors either. But I think he is pretty good. I think he's got decent striking. He's definitely a big, strong dude. His grappling's not great, but, you know, Kopylov's not going to grapple with him. It's kind of a, you know, this is a straight-up kickboxing match. I think Kopylov is probably a bit more creative and technical and better at mixing the striking together than Costa. But I do think Costa can get a win here, and I'm going to go for Costa. So I'm going to say Costa wins this fight. I was going to say by like TKO, but I don't think he's going to TKO Kopylov. I think it's going to be a decision, but I think Costa's going to win. Even though I just said Kopylov's a better striker and whatnot, I think Costa's going to walk him down a bit, and I think he's going to, hopefully he has more output. Hopefully his gas tank isn't as bad as the Rockhold fight, otherwise we're fucked. But I do think Paulo Costa, I think Paulo Costa can get a win here, and I like Paulo Costa. I'm gonna hope he gets a win. I think he will get a win. All right, we got a BMF belt versus a number 6 contendership. The champion versus number 6, although Max is not a champion at the moment. But this is a really entertaining fight. This is an interesting fight. This is an exciting fight. The problem with this fight is none of us want to see either of them lose. Like, I don't want to see Poirier come out there and get cooked by Max, like just absolutely styled on and TKO'd in his last fight. That would suck. And I also really don't want to see Max get knocked out twice in a row, Ilya and Dustin. So it's a tough one. I'm a big Max fan more than I'm a Dustin fan, and bias-wise, I want to pick Max, and I think I probably will end up picking Max. I think the problem with this fight for Max, is they're both strikers with defensive grappling. Like, let's be real, Dustin Porrier, the only thing he's going to do is jump a ghillie. And Max, you know, he's not shooting takedowns or taking people down unless it's Yair, where it's like literally just a freebie. So it's going to be all on the feet, and Dustin is a really, really good striker. He's a really, really good striker. He's a really, really good boxer, and I think it will give Max some problems for sure. I do think that Max can get this fight, get the win here, but it's going to be a tough one for him because he's going to have to go, like, they're just going to have to clash, like, striking for striking where they're both best at, and they're but they're pretty even, honestly. I think where Max has the advantage against Dustin in the striking, which I think will let him or lead to a win eventually, is he's up a weight class now, so Dustin Poirier's power is not going to be as big of a factor, hopefully. Maybe still gets cracked after he got cracked against Ilya, who knows, but I'm hoping that his chin's still the same. So I think the power, because it's not Max on 4 weeks notice where he's still kind of fat and didn't put on the weight properly against Dustin Poirier. But I think where Max has the advantage is, yes, he's a little bit better at fighting at range, but he also touches more than Dustin Poirier. Like he's gonna just bop, touch you with the calf kick and then land some big shots, or try to land some big shots or combos. Whereas Dustin Poirier, again, he's kind of only doing he's only kind of only throwing at boxing range, so his output is going to be lower than Max's no matter what, just because he's missing a lot of those just touching calf kicks, kind of like what Volk does, where he just obviously Dustin could do it, but it's not really part of his game. And those are the things that score points that just help you win a decision. I do think this fight's going to go to decision. I don't think either one of them is going to get finished in this fight, so I think it's going to go to decision. And I think those moments where Max is just touching him at range, whether it's a big shot or just a jab or just a cheeky little calf kick, those are going to add up on the scorecards and win him at least 3 rounds throughout this fight. I do think Max has a bit better variety in his striking too, as well. Bit better, it mixes it up a bit better. He's got a bit better creativity when it comes to striking. So I think he'll have more options. But it's a tough fight, man. Dustin Poirier is really, really good, especially stand-up. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be an all-out war for 25 minutes. And I think Max is going to be one of those guys that's just slightly ahead on the scorecards just by landing a bit more. So I'm going to go with Max Holloway in this fight. I think it could be similar to Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker, where, they just went after it for 15 minutes, and it was just one of those fights where they're leaving everything out, a little bit of grappling, a lot of striking and stand up, and it's just it's just a high pace fight. But dude, Dustin Poirier looks in really good shape coming this fight, so I don't know if that extra good shape is gonna change anything. I don't think so, but I do think he looks in really good shape, and I do think this is gonna be one of the best Poiriers that we see for his last fight. So I'm going with Max Holloway for the main event. I hope you guys enjoyed these predictions. We will find out how accurate I was in 8 hours. So yeah, see you in the next one. Deuces.